Hi,
Yeah.
Leah.
Now it started. It was saying it would that the host wasn't allowing me to unmute, but now it has.
Oh, rude.
I was like, yeah, I was just writing you an email saying, hey.
Unmute me, bitch. How
You
are
well?
you? Yeah,
I'm
I'm
great.
really good. How are you? Excuse my forehead. I plasmid myself a couple of days ago, so I look a bit
Oh,
horrendous.
yeah. The things we do.
I know. Got to get rid of those lines. So the only
Yeah.
two lines that I have, so I'm very lucky.
Yeah, when I used to do a lot of paddle boarding, you're always laying on your stomach looking forward, and I used to like squint into the sun, and I always used to get out of the water, and I could, they were really defined because I'd been like this for so long, and I'm like, I've got to stop doing that. It's terrible. Bad
So what
habit.
did you stop paddleboarding or did you get
No,
Botox?
I just trained myself not to look like that.
Oh,
I always
nice.
say, relax my face, relax my face. Because they say that these are trainable muscles.
Yeah, I have to say, for someone who never wears sunglasses, because I wear prescription glasses,
Mm.
and I was just too lazy to get prescription sunnies, so I never wore sunnies. So I'm a massive squinter.
Mm.
And I'm very expressive when I talk, but I
Mm.
get asked all the time if I've had Botox, and I think I've just
Mm.
trained myself not to move my forehead.
Yeah, you totally can. And I think like, there's normal facial movements which are great, but I think a lot of us have these habits, and mine was just a habit because I was looking
Mm.
up. So I just used to have a habit of scrunching my face up. So I just taught myself not to do that. Hi Jackie, I'm Leah.
Hi. Hi, Lia. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too. Did I hear that you were from Sydney, Blue
Yeah.
Mountains? Yeah,
No,
nice.
Rouse Hill in the
Rose Hill.
hills. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. How's the weather there today? Nice or
Hot. It's so
hot?
hot.
Yeah, it's
40
hot up
degrees today.
here.
Yeah.
How many?
Yeah,
40.
Oh my God.
warm
Yeah.
today.
We had a bit of 40 degrees here in Adelaide, but it's been pretty reasonable the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no. We've
Um,
got a good wave going for about a few
mm,
Like
days now.
the last hurrah of summer, isn't it?
Yeah.
mm.
Going
No
out with a
fires this year, though, luckily.
bang. Mm.
Touch wood.
Yeah, lucky,
Yeah.
lucky. Yeah. Um.
I'm not sure how many we're going to get today being a Sunday. I'm just going to open up
Yeah.
Facebook and see if anyone is.
I can always watch it back anyway.
Yeah, that's right. I'll pop it on YouTube like I did for the last one.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So what happened with Facebook last week?
oh my
It just
God.
failed you, did it?
I couldn't have anyone else join me in the live, so it was just me. And
Ah.
they couldn't they couldn't join via the page, they couldn't join via the personal, like their personal
Mm.
accounts. Nothing could happen.
Oh.
Um,
Technology is so useful when it
so we
doesn't
ended
do
up
what we
just
want.
switching it over to Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
And most people followed us through, which was great.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah.
But yeah, would have been a stressful moment.
Yes, it was. And you research how to do these things, because I've never done a Facebook Live before, of course.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's so easy.
Let's do this.
And it's like, it's not working. Awesome.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
So yeah, but it was fine.
Yeah. We'll get there.
Yeah,
I
that's
remember I
right.
had a class of like 40 people all had paid for the class, and my internet just didn't work at home that day. And of
Oh,
course I didn't know that until I went to log in
Oh,
to teach the class. And then I was just like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And I ended up, thank goodness I had a girlfriend that lived around the corner, and I ran around to her house and taught it there. Um, but yeah, that was a stressful moment. And then I had another class that I was teaching where the microphone on my laptop, just like 20 minutes into a 6 hour class, just dropped out.
wow.
no.
And it's like, oh my gosh, and everyone's typing saying, I can't hear you, Lee. All of a sudden, I just can't hear you. So
Oh my
yeah,
God.
I feel you. I've had those challenges. Got this class tomorrow, and Chizza and I are both just like fingers crossed that it all goes.
Yeah, that looks really interesting. I haven't heard of Cheezer before.
Really? Oh, she's
No, and
like one of the best
I feel like
educators in
such
our
a noob,
industry.
because everyone's like, "Oh, she's
Yeah,
so amazing." I'm like, "I've never
yeah,
heard
she's
of this girl."
incredible. Yeah, and she's a super amazing, lovely human as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely reach out, get in touch with her.
Yeah, I shall. I
Mm.
shall. So, I mean, I guess let's just get straight into it. And, anyone else that wants to join, they can join at any time if they see the link or whatever.
Yeah, perfect.
So I guess for your reference, Jackie, we're going to talk about a few things today with Lia, because Lia does quite a few amazing educational things. But I guess first off, let's talk about your class tomorrow.
Yeah. So tomorrow's a bit of a different one, I guess, because I'm teaming up with Chisa Westcar, who has a company called the Nutritional Skincare Academy. And she's a dermal clinician. So she has her health science degree in dermal therapy. So she's super qualified in skin. But she also has 2 or maybe even 3 qualifications in nutrition as well. So she's one of these perpetual studiers. She's so intelligent. And her big thing was always, I guess, where she really made her mark as an educator was she was really good at connecting gut health and how it affects the skin. So she's really well known in our space for that. And I guess with skin therapists that like to work holistically and kind of understanding things like rosacea and acne, that there's generally always an internal component. So she's really helped people find those links. But now she is specializing in menopause, and she's so passionate about menopause and helping women, I guess, go through that part of their life as easily and as painlessly as possible. And of course, what we, I guess, as an industry are now starting to notice, because there's more knowledge becoming available, is that a huge percentage of our clients are menopausal women, but most of us don't have any idea of what that actually means. So we don't have that empathy of what our clients are going through, and we don't even have the understanding of how it changes the skin, because a menopausal skin is very different from a non-menopausal skin, and we need to be approaching our treatments, we need to be approaching our home care recommendations, we need to be approaching the way that we support these women differently, because it's a unique part of their life. So we started to kind of chat about all of that, and then one day we're like, we should do a class on this, because Chisa was kind of talking about her side of things, and I was learning a lot from her, even though I've studied nutrition as well. And I would have, I guess, before speaking to Chisa, thought, yeah, I understand what menopause is. And because we don't know what we don't know, right? But then after speaking with her, I was like, wow, I have learned so much even just in this first hour. And I was like, and this is really important content for all skin therapists to understand, because from an effectiveness, I guess, way, but also from a safety perspective, because the menopausal skin doesn't heal as well as a non-menopausal skin. Everything happens slower. There's so many factors there that we're going to be talking about. And then I spend a lot of my time talking about skin needling. Like, I'm so passionate about skin needling, because it is, I feel, definitely one of the most incredible tools that we have as skin therapists when we know how to do it properly. And unfortunately, most of the training that's out there is only training to this level of what we could be achieving. So my big passion is kind of getting people from here to here, where the treatments are much safer, much more effective. Most people that do my courses are like, oh, I've been needling for, years and years and years, and now I feel like I'm actually needling properly. I'm like, yes. That's awesome. That's what I kind of like. So I'm going to be coming in and helping people understand exactly how to master skin needling on a menopausal skin. So Chiz is going to be helping us understand what happens in menopause and how we can support a client who's going through menopause. I'm going to be talking about how we prepare a menopausal skin for needling. So before we even get to the treatment, there should be at least a month, if not much longer, of preparation to get them even ready to respond correctly the way that we want them to. And then how do we execute the perfect treatment so that we're getting the best results. So we're going to, be bringing those 2 things together. It's going to be 4 hours altogether. Plus,
and that's over 2 sessions?
2 sessions, yeah. So we've got the first session tomorrow. It's going to be 2 hours, and then questions with everyone after that. And then next Monday we're doing the second installment. So it's 10 till 12 Australian Eastern Daylight Time. So that's Melbourne, Sydney, Canberra time zone. So if you're in Queensland, it's 9 till 11. If you're in WA, it's 7 till 9. And if you're in SA, we're
half an hour ahead of
Brisbane, so it'll be 9:30 till.
Oh no,
you're behind us.
Did daylight savings end last night? I think it did.
No. I think it's in April.
Oh, okay. Then no, we're still ahead of you.
Yeah, cool.
Just by half an hour.
It'll be 9:30 till 11:30 your time.
Cool.
Yeah, but we're so excited. We've got people from all over the world joining the class. It's
awesome.
been taken really, really, really well. So yeah, we're just thrilled because I was saying to Chizza the other night, when I started working in education with skin, my big thing was always EFAs. And in the beginning, it was unusual. People were like, why on earth are you telling us to take something in the mouth to help with the skin? Like, our industry hadn't put those two together. Whereas pretty much every skin clinic I go into now, they're selling EFAs. So I feel like that message is out there. It's not perfect everywhere. There's still more learning to be done, but we'll get there. But it's definitely there. And I feel like the information that Chizza and I are going to be sharing, this is kind of the next big leap for the skin space of, just helping therapists be so much more in tune and just offer so much more to their clients. So yeah, we're pumped.
Awesome. It sounds really cool.
Yeah, I think it will be.
Can I just ask you?
Yeah.
Can I just ask a quick question? Is it going to be recorded for people that working during the day?
Okay. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So not everyone will be able to attend, of course. Like, there's no time in the world that everyone can be there. So anyone that's registered into the session will also be sent the recording afterwards. And there will be a quiz as well at the end of the second session. So we'll be able to give a certificate if people want to do the quiz. They don't have to. But I think it's always good to be able to show to your clients, hey, look what I've been doing and learning, so that I can support you better. So yeah, you can watch them at any time.
Awesome. And how long if somebody registers and they then get the recording afterwards, how long do they have access to that for?
They have it for 60 days. So plenty of time. Yeah. So I was saying, like, a lot of people, I think, will join the classes and then watch the recordings a few times to really, we only absorb about 30% of what someone tells us in the first time joining an education session. So repetition is, I think, so key and so paramount to really getting good uptake of information. And there's going to be a lot of information covered in the 4 hours. So yeah, having the recordings there is really important.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. And I guess like you mentioned with skin needling, that's obviously what I see you recommended for mostly in all of the forums that I'm in. How long have you been, so when did you start Skin Education International? Because obviously I know you from before.
Yeah, in a past life.
Yeah.
So I have had Skin Education International since 2017, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, so it's like, or maybe, yeah, so I think it's about 7 years or something now.
Wow.
So that's been a while. I've been teaching needling for over 10. So for a long time. So I've seen the whole evolution coming from rollers to stamps that people were using, and then the start of the pens and where we are now. So there has been so much change in the needling space, and so much learning and so much growth and so much advancement. Like, it's a very exciting space to be in. And I always say that's going to keep going. Like, where we are now, I'm sure we'll look back in another 5 years' time and go, oh, how crazy that we were doing, thinking that was the best we can do. But, it's been a very wonderful journey just watching that, and I guess learning more. And I feel like it's almost come in like a full circle, needling. So to give you a bit of background on where I'm coming with that, when needling started, it was created by Des Fernandez, and so he's the founder of Environ, and they were using it in a clinical setting to treat scarring. So they were kind of going, hey, how can we treat scarring and, really get the skin to come back to health? So they were putting their patients under a general anesthetic, getting a 3mm roller, and what they thought they had to do, and for anyone who's worked with a roller, they'll go, whoa, like, that's really, really long needles. If you haven't worked with a roller, it's really, really, really long. Like, we would never do that now. But they thought at the time, the mentality when needling started, the principle was, we create trauma, and trauma creates a healing response. Therefore, the more trauma we create, the bigger the healing response, the better the results. So what they would do is put the patient under general anesthetic, and they would needle them with a 3mm roller until the skin was black and blue with bruising. Because that's what they thought they'd do. Like, yeah, more trauma, more trauma. Going, oh. Yeah. And then the poor client, of course, would have to spend a week or so recovering from that in hospital on pretty high pain medication, etc. And then Dr. Oust came along, who was working with Des Fernandez, and he said, oh, I wonder what would happen if we started working with a 1mm roller and working gently and just using a local anesthetic. And what they found, lo and behold, was that they got better results, obviously a lot less downtime, etc. And that was kind of a really key lesson. And if you fast forward to where we are now, we now know that the key to needling, like the one thing that will make you successful or just average at needling, is knowing how to get the healing response that you want with the least amount of trauma. And that's the key. And most people I find that I teach, they've still got to do some dialing back, because we've all got that, I call it our inner hardcore skin therapist. It's like, go deeper, go harder, go stronger, peel more, do this, do that. Because we've kind of had that like punched into us, haven't we? Like, you know, the deeper you go with the peel, the stronger you go, the higher the percentage of the ingredients, the better. And that's not true with the skin, because we know if the skin is inflamed, it heals less effectively. We know that if the skin is inflamed, it ages faster. We know all of these things go wrong when the skin's inflamed. So the trick is to find this perfect little line where, yes, we're going to get the healing response that we want, but we're not going too far into that inflammatory response that we're actually promoting aging and slow healing and less of an effect. And I think that's the exciting thing. If you think about what skin needling treatments, and I still get sent videos from people that I've trained now, oh gosh, look at this, look what someone's done, you know, with blood everywhere.
I get sent those too.
Yeah, we don't need to do that. And in fact, we absolutely should not be doing that, because it's not the best way to get results. It's more dangerous. It takes, you know, like, it's just not the optimal way to work. So there's a lot of retraining happening in the skin needling space, which I think is exciting, because the more we can learn, the better we are. So
I got sent a link to a device very recently from someone who it's a needling device, and it's advanced, and what it does, it works similar on the similar principle of plasma fibroblast, where that you sublimate the skin tissue and you create these little holes and it heals around it. It was a needling device where these needles go in, and it's like the needles are hollow, and it like punches in and like removes like a core of skin, and then you know, you move on to another section. So I guess it's similar to RF microneedling in the sense of, like, you do a section, you do a section, you do a section, but this is like cores that go in, they pull out this like core of skin. And so I know, and I was like, oh, I'm not actually sure how I feel about that one. So you know, it's such a growing
it's such a growing one, and I think we have to always come back to really solid skin science knowledge, because there are so many treatments in our industry. And I'm just going to play the devil's advocate here. The reason I love skin needling so much is because I know when I do a treatment, the skin becomes stronger, healthier, and better functioning every single time. Whereas with most skin rejuvenation treatments, whether that's fibroblast, plasma, RF, needling with RF, whether it's taking cores out of the skin, we're creating, in those instances, like with plasma, we're creating a contracture scar because it's a heat-based injury. So yes, we get a tightening of the skin, but we get a tightening of the skin, which is scar tissue, and scar tissue is non-functioning skin. So we think, okay, long-term, is that what we want to be promoting in our clients' skin? Do we want faces full of scar tissue, or do we want faces full of healthy functioning skin, which is, I think, one of the big differences with needling. And when we think about, like taking cores out of the skin, you're like, okay, yeah, it's going to heal, it's going to contract, But we've run a very high risk of that creating scar tissue rather than collagen type 3 that converts into collagen type 2, and we get that healthy functioning skin that still has sebaceous glands that work, still has nerves that work, still will, have the flexibility and the support that a skin needs to look natural and, to have all those healthy skin properties. So yeah, I always get, when people, I get emails all the time, what do you think about this device? And it's always needling plus something, or, they've taken the concept of needling and they've tried to make it better. But I would argue that needling executed correctly doesn't need nothing else, because everything else, all it does is increase your risk factors without any benefit to the health and longevity of what you're doing. So I'm yet to find any technology that I would go for over needling.
Yeah, I'm similar to you. So your needling course, so what does that entail? Obviously it's a needling course, but how is it different to the sort of training you get? Like, say for example, you buy a derma pen or a skin pen and you get trained by the company. How is your training different?
So my training, I approach it completely differently than other educators. So for me, the first thing that's different is I get everyone to do my level 1 course before needling. So my needling course isn't available until you've done my level 1 course, because one of the biggest keys to being successful with needling is knowing when the skin is ready to be needled. And that's what level 1 teaches you. It's how to get the skin into the right place that you're actually going to have good results with your needling.
Yeah.
So we do that first. Level 1 is about 10 hours. And it does go back over things that any skin therapist will have learned before. So we go back over anatomy and physiology, but we go over it in a way that's actually going to make sense. And you're going to be going, I've been taught these things for years, and now I actually get why I need to understand it. And then we go through all of the most common skin conditions and help you understand what changes in the physiology of the skin when that's happening, and what we can do as a skin therapist to bring it back into balance, because we should never be needling a skin that's not healthy and balanced, because if we are, we're fighting two battles and neither of them are going to be won very well. Yeah. So that's kind of the first step. Then the needling course itself has 2 courses within it. There's a theory class, which is about 7 hours of theory. So that in itself is completely different to what you get with other companies, which is normally 1 or 2 hours of theory. And then they do a demonstration. Like, this is, I guess, the standard protocol of skin needling training. It's, a couple of hours of theory in the morning. And a lot of that is normally to do with the products that they're selling.
Yep.
So that takes up a bit of time. Then there's normally a demonstration, and then everyone gets to do a little bit on a face. So it's a pretty limited experience. And you only get to see the skins that are there on the day. So the chances of you seeing how to treat an aging skin, how to treat a rosacea skin, how to treat scarring, how to treat pigmentation, because they're just not always there, you might get to see 1 or 2 of those concerns. So it's a different level.
So have you got lots of like different training videos for all the different conditions in yours?
Yes. Yeah. So in the theory course, we go through everything, like the history of needling, what you need to look for in a device to make sure you're working safely and effectively and at industry standards. We look at how to prepare the skin correctly, like the non-negotiables. We look at all of the different endpoints and when you would use them and why you would use them. You learn all about the different growth factors that we want and the ones that we don't want, and how to avoid the ones that we don't want. We look at how to set up your sterile area in the treatment, like everything is covered. And then once you've passed that, the third and final step in your accreditation is the practical class, which is also all done online now. I was able to figure that out in COVID, because I only ever used to do needling training as a face-to-face class. But obviously in COVID for 2 years, I couldn't travel, I couldn't teach in clinics. So we found a way to still have a really great offering remotely. So in the practical class, what you see, it's all been professionally filmed with a videographer, but you'll actually see me performing a treatment on an aging skin, a pigmented skin, a rosacea skin, a scarred skin, vascular scarring, collagen scarring, like everything that you would need to see. I show you exactly how to treat all over the eye area, so the eyelid, through the tear trough, everything over the lips, through the scalp, full face, neck, décolletage. So you really get a great understanding of everything. And I would say 99% of people, once they get to that step, they feel really confident to implement everything they've learned. And once you get to that level, you'll be able to charge around $600 per treatment. So it's a lot higher than the price point most people are charging, because what you'll be offering is very different to what most clinics are offering. So it's really good return on investment as well.
Because your courses are not expensive either.
No, I've always tried to keep, like, I don't want this information to be inaccessible to people. My goal as an educator is to help as many skins as I can, and I can't do that if only 3 people a year can afford to do the courses, you know. So I've always kept the prices as low as I possibly can, because I don't want them to only be available to really successful clinic owners. I want them to be available, you know, therapists that have just graduated and they're just starting their journey in skin, or I want clinic owners to be able to afford to put their team through so that they can all have great knowledge and be working effectively with the skin. So yeah, the needling course by itself is $600. So you can pay that
so cheap.
Very, very easily. Yeah.
And so talk about, so you mentioned your level 1 course, because you've got a level 1 and a level 2.
That's right. Yep. So level 1 is my foundation course for all of my other courses. So if you want to do needling, you do level 1 first and then go into the needling classes. If you'd like to do level 2, the same thing, level 1 first, and then we build into level 2. So I've kind of already explained level 1. Level 2, I guess, harnesses more the knowledge of how the internal aspects of the body affect the skin. So we spend a lot of time talking about acne, and we talk about, okay, how does gut health affect acne? We talk about how do hormones affect acne. We talk about, you know, all of the things that as therapists we've kind of heard, and we know there's a connection there, but we maybe don't fully understand it. And I really want to give people power around that, because I find a lot of skin therapists, for example, with a hormonal acne, they feel powerless with that, because they're like, well, I can't change a woman's hormones, which is correct, but you actually don't need to change someone's hormones to help with a hormonal acne once you understand that. So we go into lots of detail around that and really kind of empower you with that. But I guess the other aspect of understanding more about the internal triggers of skin conditions is also knowing when it is best to refer on to somebody else who can make those changes. Because I think the most effective way for any skin therapist to work is to know what your skill set is and be really, really brilliant in that. And then be able to recognize, this client has really got something going on in their gut health, and it's affecting their acne, or it's affecting their rosacea. I'm going to put them in touch with this person so they can get on top of that, and we'll actually get a resolution for them. Because there's no point just going at the same thing. If we're not addressing the underlying cause, we're not going to get any results. So we look at where it's most effective to refer on, and how to set up those relationships in that I guess in that more, like, you know, working with a naturopath or working with a nutritionist or an integrative practitioner who can support your clients on that holistic level too. Level 2, we also look at, I guess, the effects of medication and I guess the more mainstream medical solutions to skin conditions. So for example, in the acne section, we look at, okay, if your client's put on Roaccutane, what does that actually mean? What does it do? What kind of things do we need to be aware of, and how it changes the skin? What do antibiotics do when we put on them for acne? What does the pill do when we're putting it for acne? And I guess what I want to achieve with level 2 is to have a skin therapist who can have a client come to them with a problem such as acne, and they can actually sit them down and say, look, we have acne. I'm going to explain to you exactly what's going on in your skin and how we can fix it. I'm also going to explain to you the other options that if you go and see your GP, they're going to offer you. And I'm just going to tell you the pros and cons of each, so that that client can then take what we call informed consent and make the best decision for them. Because unfortunately, the way that it tends to work is a client comes to us, they listen to what we have to say, and then they think, okay, that sounds like a lot of work. I'm going to have to change my diet. I'm going to have to use this expensive skincare. I have to have these treatments. I might just go and see what my GP says about it. They go to the GP says, oh, easy, just take this prescription. It's cheap and they think they just have to take a tablet. But what they don't realize is when they go on the pill or when they take Roaccutane or when they take antibiotics, that there's all these other things that they're going to have to deal with at the time and later. Plus, they're not actually dealing with the cause of the acne. So what often happens is they then get all these side effects, plus they still have acne, plus we now have to undo the damage that's been done with the medication before we can really get to the bottom of it. So I'm really passionate about them understanding, look, sometimes antibiotics are an option, but these are the things we need to know about it. Sometimes Roaccutane is the right choice, but let's do it together so that we can minimize the effects, the negative effects of that medication has while it is supporting your acne. So I think it's just giving you, you know, that higher level of knowledge so that you can pass that on to your clients. And it's just allowing you to educate your clients to a greater level, gain more trust from them. And I find gain a lot more compliance because they're much more willing to listen to you and, you know, go with your programs when they can see that you really understand all aspects of the treatment.
Yeah.
So I've spoken a lot about acne, but basically we go to that level of detail with acne. We then go into pigmentation conditions, and we do touch on pigmentation in level 1, but it's more your basics around, okay, this is what happens when we go in the sun and we produce pigment, and then sometimes it goes wrong and this happens. In level 2, it's more around what we tend to call hormonal pigmentation, so more the melasma, chloasma, and all of the other internal things, because in our industry, we tend to just think, oh, okay, it's medication or it's hormonal. It's so much more than that. And I find skin therapists often fail to really understand the depth and the complexity of those skin conditions. So we jump in too quickly with solutions when the skin's not ready, we don't get results, or we make it worse, and then we're not sure what's happened. And of course, that's not a good outcome for the client, but it's also not a good outcome for the skin therapist because we lose confidence in our ability to work with the skin. So I really like to give a lot of information there. Then we go into rosacea in a lot more detail and really learn about the difference between a rosacea skin and a sensitive skin and how we need to approach them very differently and how there's always an internal aspect to rosacea. Then we look at eczema and psoriasis as well, and perioral dermatitis is something else that I popped in about a year ago because we're seeing a lot more prevalence of that in our industry as well. So I really wanted therapists to understand that. And also in level 2, I added in another whole section on essential fatty acids because I found that, as I said earlier, a lot of people have got them in their clinics now, but a lot of people perhaps didn't have the right product to really support optimal skin health. So I really go into exactly what to look for in a supplement and why.
Yeah.
So there's lots. There's another 10 hours of content in level 2. So yeah, lots and lots and lots of information in there.
Yeah, amazing. So what else do you teach? Because on your website, I've seen you've got some amazing free trainings on there, which we'll touch on soon as well. But like in terms of your other like levels of training, so you've got your 1 and 2 and your skin needling. Is there any other trainings that you offer?
There's not any other courses at the moment. I'm about 90% completed putting together a consultation masterclass.
Oh, awesome.
We kind of go through, I guess, how to have those really effective conversations because I've found that a lot of people when they finish level 1 and 2, they've got this great knowledge, but they're still struggling to actually put that into an interaction with a client. So that course is all about how to have those conversations and lots of examples and lots of demonstrations so that they can see, you know, how I would communicate basically and what's worked for me in over 20 years of communicating with clients. So that's coming. But yeah, all of the free courses, I guess, are little snippets from content in level 1 and 2 primarily.
Yeah, okay.
So there's lots in there on ingredients because I spend heaps of time talking about ingredients in the courses. All of the information in level 1 and level 2 is all ingredient specific. So whatever brand you're working with, you'll be able to apply that knowledge to your brand. And in some cases you might go, awesome, I've got everything here that I need. Or in some instances you might go, I just don't have B3 or I don't have a good enough vitamin A. Maybe I need to bring something else in so that I have got all of the things that I need to really work effectively as a skin therapist. So it's great because it'll be transferable. If you're a therapist working in a clinic at the moment, whichever clinic you work in, you'll be able to use that information with any brand. Or if you're a clinic owner, it'll help you make sure you've got all the tools you need.
Yep. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
But that's about it.
Yeah. I mean, you've got such an amazing knowledge, and you've been I've got so many people who have literally just like joined the chat
all of a sudden
popping in right now. So so I mean, I've experienced your training particularly in like consults and post-treatment you know, from back in the day, and I can only imagine how amazing your course is going to be. So that's exciting. So well done.
Exciting.
Do you have a time frame as to when that might be available?
That's a very good question. I'm just going to be super honest, because that's the only way I ever know how to be. So I've actually fully filmed that course. It's written, it's done. But then when I watched the videos, I went, I don't like them. And I'm a perfectionist. So the hold up at the moment is just me. It's just me. I think I need to do that again. So I'm just working out at the moment. It's my next big project. As soon as I finish with Chisa next Monday, my focus is this consultation class, because I've been working on this class for 4 years.
Oh my God, Lia.
And I just used to teach too much to think about it. And then I got pregnant, so that was the end of that. And then I decided in COVID I was going to refilm everything before I had this baby. And now I have a baby. So everything's gotten in the way. But yeah, it's my next big focus. So either I'm just going to quickly refilm everything and launch it, or I'm also thinking that I might do a similar approach to what I'm doing with Chisa, like do a live version of it first, just kind of test it out, because I'll be honest, a consultation class as an online class is hard, because what I want as an educator is I want to see people actually practicing the consultation skills, because I know that's how we get better at it, right? But in an online class, of course, that's going to be difficult if it's just a recorded version. So yeah, I'm just trying to work out the best way to get traction with the information, whether it's having learning blocks that people learn about it and then we come together in kind of like breakout sessions and practice the skills. Yeah, I will get there.
Yeah, and it is hard with consultation too, because everyone's got a different challenge when it comes to you know, what it is that's holding them back. Some people feel like they can't ask for the sale because they themselves don't have that available money, so they feel like they can't. Other people don't want to seem pushy, or some other people are just like, well, you know, no. So yeah, so it would be really hard to film for all of those different scenarios.
And all of those things that you've mentioned, they're all completely covered in the course, but then it's also like every clinic setup is different and every product range has different information. So yeah, but I think we can still practice the key skills of like, how do you overcome an objection, and how do we teach therapists that objections aren't bad, they're actually really, really good, because it is a million times better if a client says to you, oh, I actually just can't afford that, rather than just saying, oh, thanks so much for the information and walking out the door. Because thanks so much for the information and leaving, we can't do anything with that. But if someone says, oh, that's a bit too expensive, that's actually brilliant, because we can say, thank you so much for feeling comfortable enough to tell me. Let's look at a way that we can do this that's a bit more economical. Easy. Like we can meet from there. That's fine.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's just, I guess, changing people's mindset around, you know, what our role as skin therapists, and I bang on about this all the time, we're not salespeople, and we need to get that out of our heads, because that feels uncomfortable for most people. There's only a very small amount of the population that love selling. And for them, great. But as skin therapists, our job is to be able to really listen to our clients, understand what they're telling us, know enough about the skin to put together a solution, and sharing the solution with them. Like we're like coaches, we're not salespeople. So we need to kind of get out of that mentality of, you know, oh, she might not be able to afford it. Cool, make her feel comfortable enough that she can tell you if she can't afford it, and then you find a way that does work for her, because you guys are a team. You're the coach rather than the dictator.
Yep.
And then it's easy.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Sammy and Jackie, do either of you guys have any questions for Lia before we start wrapping up? You're good? How about you, Sammy?
Thumbs up there.
You're all good? Did you want to touch again on just the session you've got tomorrow with Chisa? Thanks, Sammy. I see your thumbs up.
Cute. I saw Jackie's little thumb poke up. It just came up just above the camera.
Do you want to touch on again on your session tomorrow with Chizzo? Like, where can people find it? How do they register? All that jazz.
So it's actually closed for registrations as of this morning. But if anyone is desperate to jump into it, just flick me an email and I'm sure we can squeeze you in. We just kind of had to put a line in the sand because we had to send all of the workbook and everything, Zoom links out to everyone. So we decided we'd do that this morning just so I wasn't feeling too rushed. But if it's just a few here and there, I'm sure that we can accommodate that. So you can flick me an email. My email is on my website and everywhere, but I'll give it here. It's just Lia, Lia, at skineducationinternational.com. You can flick me an email and I'm sure I can work that out with you. Otherwise, we're not sure if we're going to be selling it as a recorded version afterwards because we both kind of cover the content separately, if that makes sense. So it's kind of undercutting our other courses. So we just wanted to do it as this online class and then the people are registered. So if you are interested in the content, definitely get in touch so that we can get you on the list. And it doesn't matter if you can't come.
Does it talk about glycation at all? Because that's obviously a concern with
Chiz is going to be talking around glycation a little bit, but more I guess from a way around like nutrition and how to support in that aspect and the effects of hormone loss that happens in menopause on collagen, because that's probably a bigger component for menopausal women than glycation. Glycation is, I guess, a separate thing, but of course all tied in with aging and definitely a pretty big factor in that age bracket for sure.
So do you talk about glycation in your other trainings?
So my level 1 course covers glycation because it's interesting. We used to talk about glycation in kind of women from 60 upwards. I see it in clients like 30s now, really, really early.
It's all that sugar that we have.
Like our diets are a bit of a mess, really, in a Western culture. And just like lifestyle factors as well. And I think there's a lot of layers to glycation, but yes, I definitely cover that
because it's such a hard thing to treat.
We can't treat it. It's untreatable. Once that damage is there, it's permanent. We can make the skin look better, like we can improve the appearance of glycation, but we can't actually get rid of glycated fibers or turn them back into healthy collagen. So it's permanent damage once it's there. All we can do is kind of plump the skin up around the glycated fibers, which reduces the appearance of it, but we're never actually getting rid of it. So definitely the best solution is prevention. But you know, people have to be open to that as well. But there's a lot of genetics and a lot of lifestyle factors and a lot of nutritional factors all linked in with glycation.
Cool. Because that's one that I get asked a lot, as someone who also teaches needling, and it is how do you recognize glycation? So and I don't have any skin courses or anything like that in what I do, so I usually send people your way. So it's nice to know that you do actually cover it, because I have actually done your courses
for them. Awesome.
So awesome. All right, well, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for your time. Thanks
I'll
for joining us, Jackie and Sammy, as well.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Great to meet you.
Awesome.
And anyone's welcome to email me any other questions that they have as well.
Cool. Awesome. I'll get this up on Facebook before the end of the day, and hopefully some other people can watch it.
Perfect.
Cool.
Have a wonderful Sunday, everyone.
Thank you. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Sammy. Thanks, Jackie.
Fingers crossed for a smooth journey.
Awesome.
All right. Bye, everyone. Bye.